Welcome back to the Lighthouse Freedom Podcast. On this episode, we are talking about the greatest asset in history, time. How do you protect it? How do you keep it? How do you multiply it? How do you get it back? How do you maximize it? We're going to dive in to time. Let's roll.
Great intro.
We just keep going right on
Love
that.
that one. Yeah.
Let's just keep going right on that. So, talking about time here, the reason we put this episode in here about time is because it seems like everything else that we talk about, all the other things that we discuss, all the other episodes, all the other topics, none of it matters if you don't have control of your time, because it's the one thing you can't get back. We've all heard that, right? But we try and not be theoretical. We try and be really practical. So we want to talk about like practical steps to protecting your time. Like, number one, like, how do you value it? And then how do you do things and hire things out that don't match that value? Like those kinds of things. Like, let's talk about the practical steps to protecting your time. Because ultimately, like, getting as much of it back as possible is the goal. And like, to me, that is success. Success to me is being able to do what I want, when I want, with whoever I want, for however long I want, and having 100% control of 100% of my time. That is ultimate success. So how do you protect your time, and what tactics are you using to have control of it?
Yeah, it really is one of the best questions that we can ask ourselves. And first of all, I start with a roadmap for my week on Sundays. Which it sounds pretty typical, but so we talk about mentors too on this podcast, and I have a mentor who helped me with this tremendously, and he has a term for it called time blocking. Okay, and let me start with the reason why this is so difficult for so many of us, myself included. I still get caught in it sometimes, and that's when you think about the concept of time. When we feel stressed or pulled in two different directions, it's because we're working on this podcast, but if I haven't time blocked this podcast for this day, for this set amount of time, then I'm going to feel pulled towards something else. And then I'm going to start to feel guilty because I'm not giving my time to whatever the other project may be. People that are asking me about deals, people are asking me about product, etc. So when we time block and we set like a rigid time block for the week, it enables us to know, okay, I'm going to focus on these things. These are the projects that get my time. These are the people that get my time at these specific increments, right? And then we just don't negotiate around that. And this is tough, but this is one of the things I think has really propelled me personally within the last year, is sticking to this, and not to say that I don't deliver it with care, but example, like my reps, they know when I'm available and when I'm not. And, we have to like let go and understand that if they take it personally, that's not on me. It's actually on them. And the reason is because I'm working on something that's going to pull a lot of stuff through for them. But if I don't time block it, if I don't organize it, and then I don't stick to it, then you just get pulled in all these different directions. The week ends and you think, shit, half my week was gone on tasks that aren't my skill set, or something that pulled me down this rabbit hole of trying to solve a problem that really someone on my team should be solving, not me. And for me, that starts every Sunday. I lay out my week completely. And it's not to say that I don't make adjustments as needed if there's something like really extremely important that comes up. It's family. My son needs help with something, and it's urgent. So it's not to say you can't be somewhat pliable, but by and large, my time's already mapped out, and I had to let go, Chad, of feeling bad about people I was saying no to. And that's helped me tremendously.
Yeah. I wrote down people and big over here, because it's like, I think that is the one thing that I think a lot of people let slip, is who they're willing to give their time to. And a lot of folks are, whether it's people that are close to you or just old friends that you feel like some crazy obligation to continue to spend your time with, although they were friends during a certain season that you no longer want to be a part of. And it's okay to have friends for a season in your life. A lot of people don't understand that piece of it. So Just know it's okay to have friends for a season. But if you don't, every friendship or every relationship, every business relationship, every friendship that you're saying yes to is another friendship that you're saying no to, right? So which ones are you saying no to and which ones are you saying yes to? In my life, I'm saying yes to the friendships that are uplifting me, that are giving me energy, that there's a value exchange, right? As crass as that may sound, like I'm not going to spend time with someone that I don't exchange value with and for and to. I'm not spending time with folks that are going to the bar and drinking and wasting time and doing those types of things. I've said no to that, which gives me time to then cultivate relationships over here. And a lot of people get caught kind of giving time to the people that have given time to, so they continue to give time. And before you know it, you run out and you're like, fuck.
Yeah.
You know, the other thing too, I love what you said about your time blocking on Sundays for the week. I do this on a nightly basis for my day.
Yeah.
And I do what's called my critical tasks. And those are what get the first part of my time I get those critical tasks done. I have 5 every day. Each day.
Yeah.
5 critical tasks. And those are things that move the needle for myself and my businesses. They're not like, it's not a to-do list. It's not like, take out the garbage. It's like connect with this person, or, email this prospect, or underwrite this deal, call this broker, like those types of things that are just going to move the business that 1%. And I know if I get those things done, and I have to time block to do those things, and I know if I get those things done, then I write a big W for the day and I won that day. Then everything else that I do is just gravy, right? Everything else that I do on top of that, I could honestly just go play golf for the rest. Like if I get my critical task done at noon, I might go play golf and I won my day and I have my time back because I know that we talk about it's a game of inches, and we talk about you eat the elephant one bite at a time, or you move the mountain one stone at a time. That's my version, and I didn't come up with that. It's a Andy Frisella thing, right? He's got a book called The Power List. He talks about his 5 critical tasks. That's what he's been doing for 25 years. Yeah. We've talked about it on this podcast. I'm not recreating the wheel. I'm just taking something that somebody who's uber successful $1 billion companies, running multiple $1 billion companies is doing. I'm just taking it and doing it myself, and it's working. Right. I've been doing that critical task since I started listening to the MFCO project almost 5 years ago. I've been doing that every single day.
And you do your most difficult tasks first?
Yeah, that's a Brian Tracy book called Eat That Frog, where you eat the biggest frog first. I try and do the toughest one, because typically your energy is most, it's the highest in the morning, so you can knock that big one out. And also, having white space in your calendar is the devil's playground. So if you have a ton of white space in your calendar, that is, I call it the devil's playground, because that's typically where temptation creeps in, binge watching Netflix marathons happen,
scrolling
on
Instagram,
social
whatever,
media,
like
just consuming, those types of things happen when you don't have things budgeted in. And so whether it's as little as putting a workout in your calendar, or putting, a 10-minute meditation, or read 15 pages a day, those types of little things, like just putting that in there, and filling that calendar up. And then that gives you freedom to do what you want. It's not about staying busy. It's about being effective and productive, so that then you can do what you want with your time.
Yes. Right? You get the most out of your time that way. You're effective with it. If it's pointed, it's focused, rather than kind of swinging from the hips every day. Right. And I get borderline annoyed at people that maybe aren't in my inner circle or circle of influence, when they reach out and they'll text and they'll be like, "What's your day like tomorrow?" And I'm like, I don't know. It doesn't include you. Yeah. My day's mapped out already, but asking for this time in this like ambiguous kind of broad strokes, like, "Hey, can we get some time tomorrow?" Be specific. Yeah. Because asking a question like that certainly is not going to demand my time. Yeah. 100%. It's annoying.
Yeah. I get that, like, can I pick your brain question? Like sometimes where people like email or DM or something like that. Like, "Hey, I see you're in real estate. I'm in Nashville. Like, you want to grab coffee? Can I pick your brain?" Yeah. Fuck no. I got shit to do. You can't just like, I don't have time to, like, it's not that I'm not willing to help people, but at the same time, like, you have to value other people's time as well.
Correct.
Because it's a direct reflection of how, you feel about that person, and that you have respect for the fact that they have a finite amount of time.
Yeah. It tells a story too, Chad. It tells a story that the person on the other end, the reason that's so annoying for me, and I could go on a rabbit hole about it, is because it tells me that you don't really value my time, and I know that you're not using yours wisely, right? Because you're asking me about something tomorrow. So if today's Tuesday and you're asking me, hey, can I get some time tomorrow? That means your week's not mapped out, which means, unfortunately for you, you're not the person I want to spend time with, and I'm not going to give mine freely.
Yeah.
It's just important. It's valuable.
Yeah.
If I can spend that time moving the needle in my business to create more time for family, that's where I'm going.
Yeah.
It's not going to be to sit and pick your brain and talk about, some philosophy for next year in the business. It's a waste.
Yeah. I think two things I'll say is listeners on this episode probably think, we're assholes. For,
yeah. I mean, I realize that
we're saying if anybody's, don't reach out to us. Don't fucking reach out because we'll crack you. No, that's not it. It's just, we have a value of our hour that we place. And for me, like, I know what my hour is worth, and I'm not willing to do anything that's worth less than that value.
Right.
And the way that you get that, right, is you figure out how many hours you want to work in a year, right, and how much money you want to make. So if I'm setting a target to double my income every year, and I have this fucking number X, and I want to work this amount of hours, I divide that number by this amount of hours, and I get my value per hour that I am what I believe I'm worth, or I have to be worth in order to make that money. So if something is worth less than that, I don't do it. And unfortunately, having a cup of coffee with Joe Schmo, who hasn't done anything, is just getting into the space, and just wants a bunch of free information and advice. Like, unfortunately, you have to pay me. If you want that, you have to pay me that amount of money in order for me to have that hour, to
give
spend that hour with you.
Right.
Or
provide
a
some sort of value
100%
in exchange for that time.
Correct.
Right?
What do you have? Do you have a deal that we could do together? Do you have something that you could bring to the table that would incentivize me to take that amount of money basically and write you a check and give it to you?
I'm so glad you said that, because again, it's not that we're sitting on any sort of pedestal here saying my time is worth this and you're never allowed in. That's not the case. But, it's to encourage people to offer something in exchange for that time, bring something to the table of value, rather than just asking, because no one wants to give time to people that are just always asking for handouts, and you're not exchanging anything.
Yeah.
Right?
And we have, we all have a mutual friend in the room, Jeremy Newsom, and we've talked about him a couple of times on the podcast. The way him and I actually met, believe it or not, I paid $3,000 to go sit with him.
I remember this story.
Yeah.
For an hour, right?
I think it was an hour and a half, 90-minute session.
Yeah.
And I didn't know him. And his time, that was what his block was worth. And I said, boom, paid him $3,000, went to his house.
Yep.
We hit it off, became friends. And that's usually how it happens.
Yeah.
Once you make that investment. Now, what he knows is he knows that I am willing to spend money to invest in myself, because that was an investment in me.
Yep.
Although it was 90 minutes I sat with him, we ended up sitting there for like 4 hours and just talking about life and business and all the great things that you and I discussed.
Yeah.
And, but he knew it was like, it's almost like a gatekeeper. It's like a natural gatekeeper of like, is this person willing to invest in themselves enough to come sit down with me? Bingo. So once I passed that test, now I'm sitting down with him, and now, we're able to build a friendship, and him and I are, he was over at my house last weekend, and his wife and his kids. And so I think that investment is really critical in seeing that you got to have that respect for the other people's.
Yeah. Respect the other side.
Yeah. So that it's that natural gatekeeping, right? And then we talk about, when we talk about that value of the hour, right? What that also allows you to do is to then scale and grow your businesses, because now you take that value of your hour and you realize that anything less than that, I need to begin to hire out and to delegate out. Yeah. And what that allows you to do is that allows you to then start to scale and grow. And like, quick story, in my last house that I was in, I had somebody come cut the grass, and my dad, who I grew up cutting my own grass, my dad would make me cut the grass. He used to mow the grass, and he's like, "Why do you have somebody cut your grass?" I'm like, "Dad, it cost me $40, to have that person come out and cut the grass." He's like, "You should be cutting your own grass." I'm like, it's the concept of, I don't need to be cutting my own grass, because I can pay somebody $40 to cut this grass, and I can go make X amount because my time is worth this number per hour.
Right.
So if I'm going and making sales calls, or I'm going and looking at real estate deals, I know that I'm making this amount of money. I'm going to go pay the $40. And it's the same thing. People find themselves doing like these minuscule tasks in their business that they could easily hire out. And this isn't to say you just go, take on a huge payroll, but at the same time, you need to start creating buckets, and you start creating the buckets of the things that you're doing that are the least valuable. So take your day, do this for a week, take your week, and every 30 minutes, I want you to write down what you did for the 30 minutes, and I want you to put a dollar sign or a smiley face next to it. A dollar sign if it made you money, and a smiley face if it made you happy. Every 30 minutes, write down what you did. Either write a dollar sign if it made you money or a smiley face if it made you happy. What you'll find is a lot of things don't have either one, and you're doing them, and they didn't make you money, and they didn't make you happy.
Yeah.
So why are you doing it? So the goal and the epitome of having your freedom is to start to eliminate those things that don't have the dollar sign and they don't have the smiley face.
They make you happy.
Get those off the books, and then you start to then this life just becomes this incredible thing. Excuse me. And then what you'll find is the coolest things in the world are the ones that have both the dollar sign and the smiley face next to them, because then you're living in this like. Oof. That's the epitome of it.
I love that.
Yeah.
Okay, so if we're going to be a student of the game, I'm taking that one because that's awesome.
Yeah.
I've not done that. So how long, like, give me an example. You did it for 30 days?
No, just do it for a week.
A week.
Just do it for a week.
Okay.
Do it for a couple. Get it done for a couple days. I did it for 4 days.
Yeah.
But it's tough because every 30, like I set an alarm on my watch, and then like every 30 minutes.
You're checking every 30 minutes.
Every 30 minutes.
Dollar sign, happy face, or something else.
I just wrote like one quick sentence of what I just accomplished and whether it made me money or it made me happy.
That's so good.
And I found that I was spending, time kind of doing stuff that it didn't have either one. I was it's like admin work, and paperwork, things like that. So then
you find ways to essentially eliminate the stuff that doesn't have one of those two signs.
That's correct.
Right. And the happy could be family stuff. It could be friendships, relationships.
Had lunch with my wife.
Working out.
Yeah.
Anything.
Big smiley face next to
the money's obvious.
100%. Yep.
Dude, I love that exercise.
Yep. And the smiley face ones, like I sat down with my daughter and watched Paw Patrol. Like, that gets a smiley face. You know, like that's part of it.
Yeah.
So that one doesn't go anywhere.
Yep.
Those kinds of things. But filled out an operating agreement. For a new purchase, like set up a new entity. Like that didn't do either one of those things.
I want to pause and say, please, if you're listening and watching, write that one down. That is awesome. Yeah, that's worth it. If we get nothing else out of this, that's huge because so many people don't do that. And I consider myself like a great manager of time, but I've never actually put a value to the dollar and the hour. And then I always say, and I think about the reverse, meaning, am I delivering that much to my clients? So if I say my worth is $500 an hour, it's an ambiguous number, but let's say that's it. Am I delivering $500 worth of value to my client within the hour? So I've honed that like really well, and I've honed like personal time, fitness, family, but I've never actually measured it in that way. Yeah, that's awesome.
And the other one too is sometimes you have to put a value on your hour that's above. Like you'll have to not necessarily somebody's paid $2,000 for your hour or $3,000 for your hour, but you say my time is worth $3,000 because I want to make this amount of money.
Yeah.
What you'll do is actually you put that out to the universe. It's this whole universe thing it provides, man. You say that to the universe is, all right, I'm not going to do anything that's worth less than $3,000 an hour.
Yeah.
The universe will actually start to provide you opportunities that are of that caliber because you have now told that universe and you're not doing anything that's sub that amount per hour.
Yeah.
So, throw a number out there. Don't be unrealistic. Don't say your hour's worth fucking $1 million if you haven't done shit. But at the same time, start to elevate your level of consciousness for what your time is worth, and then the universe will then reciprocate.
Sure.
Another little exercise that I like to do when it comes to delegating and hiring out to get rid of those things that are sub your time per hour is you make a cross chart. So four boxes in the top left. It's what am I good at that I enjoy doing? And then in the top right is what am I good at that I don't enjoy doing? And the bottom left is what do I enjoy doing that I'm not good at? And then the bottom right is what am I not good at and I don't enjoy doing? And then you can also put those 30-minute tasks, you can put those in blocks, in those blocks. And then you first hire out the bottom right block. What am I not good at and I don't enjoy doing, but I find myself doing it? I got to get that off my plate.
Yeah.
Right. And then the next block you hire out is things that you don't enjoy doing, but you are good at, you got to get those off your plate because you don't enjoy doing them. So that's the next one you hire out. And then the last one you hire out is things that you enjoy doing, but you might not be good at. Hire somebody that could be better at them, even though you might enjoy doing them. So that leaves you in the top left, which is the ultimate success, is you're just doing things that you're really good at, that you enjoy doing, that make you money.
Enjoy. Yeah.
Yep.
That's fantastic.
That you're really good at as well.
Yeah.
So you kind of, it's a process. This isn't tomorrow you're going to figure all this out, and it's, I'm still working on it.
Yeah.
I find myself doing stuff that I shouldn't be doing,
I do too. Yeah.
But it's all about protecting your time, because having discipline with your time is what is ultimately going to give you freedom. Jocko Willink has this quote, discipline equals freedom. It's kind of the dichotomy, and it's like a little bit counterintuitive when you hear that. Oh, like discipline. Like, I think when you think discipline, you think like discipline, like I don't have, but discipline is actually gives you the freedom, because you have the freedom because you had the discipline. I had the discipline to time block my week, to stick to my critical tasks, to hit my critical tasks, and to move the needle for the day. Now I have the freedom this afternoon to do what I want.
Yep.
One of my critical tasks today was to nail this season. I had 2 others that I got done this morning, and I have one when I get home. And I'm going to go home, knock that thing out, and guess what? The evening is mine.
Yeah.
I got freedom to do what I want.
What you want.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I'm going to do a bunch of stuff that gives me the smiley face.
Smiley faces.
Maybe a couple things that give me a dollar sign.
Yeah. That's what it's all about.
That's what it's all about. So protect the time. It's the one thing you don't get back.
Well said, man.